Welcome to Play Branson, your weekly show about Branson entertainers and events coming up. My name is Chris Meyer, and we have Haley Westrich with us again.
Hello.
So you're still coming back every
I'm
week.
still here.
So that's awesome. I'm glad to have you.
Thank
I
you.
always tell people you're my millennial expert.
There we go. Glad to be here.
So what's going on in Branson?
Well, we've got a major Elvis festival this weekend. So April 7th through the 9th, there's going to be a ton of Elvises running around Branson. And then they're going to have lots of concerts and things going on at Dick Clark's American Bandstand Theater. So be sure to check that out because that's going to be really fun.
You know, I always love when you see like 20 Elvis guys together. It's like crazy.
Pretty fun, right?
But, you know, they're going to have lots of things going on. And this is the 11th annual. I think you said that. But Dean Z is going to do a special show like at 11 o'clock at night.
Yes.
I think it's 11 o'clock at night. And he's an amazing Elvis impersonator. And it may not even be that. He may be doing a lot of his own stuff.
Right.
But I would encourage people to go check that out.
Absolutely.
The other thing that we have coming up is on April 12th, we have Matthew and Gunnar Nelson. And they're doing a tribute to Ricky Nelson. And Ricky Nelson was huge back in Elvis's day, too. He was like, Elvis was number one. Ricky was like number two. I hope I'm right on that. If I'm not, send me an email and tell me. But, and I've seen them perform this show. And I have a cassette tape of Nelson. And if anybody remembers Nelson, these guys are like twins. They had long hair all the way down their back, and they rocked out. And I've seen them perform this show, and it's a great show. So that's coming up. And then, if you're planning a little further down the road, Silver Dollar City's next festival coming
The
up.
Bluegrass and Barbecue Festival, which is going to feature a lot of different bluegrass artists as well as featuring some of their best barbecue in town.
And that starts on May 4th.
Yes, coming up.
So lots of things happening. The weather's getting warmer. Pretty much everything in Branson is open now. So we've got a great entertainer that's going to be our guest
We
today.
sure do, yes. From number one hits of the 60s, when we come back, we will welcome Miss Amber.
The Platinum Award-winning Comfort Inn and Suites Branson Meadows features a unique mountain lodge theme with amazing views of the Ozark Mountains. The guest rooms are spectacular with over 30 suites. Cool off in the refreshing indoor pool and hot tub, or enjoy free hot breakfast every day. For more information or to make reservations, call 877-7-HOTELS.
Welcome back to Play Branson. We almost didn't get started because we had these very, very famous people out in the audience, but they've now left the building, so we can get going. It's an inside joke, but everybody knows what I'm talking about. So we're here today with Amber Campbell, number one hits of the 60s. She is the owner, producer, and entertainer extraordinaire. And so you kind of do it all over there. But before we talk about the show, I want to hear kind of your history about how you got into this business and like, did it happen by accident or did you like set out to, I want to be in the entertainment business?
Oh, that's hysterical. You know, I usually ask people if they want to hear the Reader's Digest version or if they want to hear the whole story. Started singing in church when I was 11, that kind of thing. No, I grew up coming to Branson. It was one of the funnest things that my family and I ever got to do together. And was coming to Branson, watching shows out at Silver Dollar City, thinking, man, that would be so cool if I could go to Branson and do that. And then I wound up graduating from high school down in Sarcoxie, Missouri, and I went to college in Bolivar at Southwest Baptist University where I got my theater degree and my music minor.
Okay.
And I moved to Branson and I did the coolest thing ever. I paid my dues. I waited tables for a couple of years on the showboat while I auditioned for everything. And then I finally started doing a couple of shows. I did 50s at the Hop and I did Red Hot and Blue. And then I wound up having an opportunity to step into the show on the Showboat Branson Bell where I performed for about 5 years. And then one of the craziest things happened. The producer for the number one hits of the 60s that was being produced at the Welk Theater that year was someone that I had worked for before, worked with. And so he said, would you be interested in performing in that show? And I said, absolutely. And it worked out great because I had a daughter who was about to turn 5, and I was going to be able to work less hours and still spend time doing what I love to do, you know. So that's where I met my husband. My husband, Matt Mahobarak, and we met 15 years ago doing number one hits of the 60s, and where we were both, he was an original producer, I was an original cast member. And then over time, about 8 years ago, the previous producer decided that they were going to step down and not continue with the show, and Matt and I kind of talked about it, and we were like, well, you know, maybe we could make this thing work. And I'd really never seen myself producing a show or managing a show or financing a show.
Yes,
But-
that's a whole nother subject
yeah,
right there, right?
But all of that changed overnight, and 8 years later, it's been great. We took over the show, we kind of turned it around, and ended the year in the black every year since, and just love doing it. Love getting to do what I love to do every single day, and get to do it with the man that I love too. We actually managed the show together for a year, and we didn't kill each other, so we figured maybe we could make it work for a lifetime. So we just celebrated 6
Well,
years
you
in
know,
February.
You know, some people can do that and some people can't. So it's good that you can.
We can,
right?
we can, and it's a good thing because it's a 24/7 job. Let me tell you.
Yeah, wonderful.
Well, outside the theater,
Yes.
what do you like to do for fun?
What do I like to do for fun? Oh, I like to Netflix binge sometimes. I like to watch Criminal Minds. I like to watch Fringe. I like to play with my dog. I have a daughter who's 18, just graduated from college or from high school.
So
and
she was in the same grade as my son.
that's right.
Yes.
That's right. That's where we met originally.
So I think weren't they in kindergarten or
they
something
were
together?
kindergarten or
something.
first grade or
Yes.
somewhere back there. Yeah, and it's kind of fun to watch her spread her wings and go get ready to do her thing. She's going to go to cosmetology school in July and kind of do her own thing. She's going to be a very independent woman.
So you went to college saying, "Hey, I'm going to get in the business."
I did.
But you also sounded like it wasn't overnight, and so you had perseverance,
Mm-hmm.
and you, like you said, you paid your dues, and so you kept doing auditions. Did you ever get discouraged?
Not really. I just took every experience that I had as a learning and growing experience, and I always try to keep that in mind when people audition for us. We usually, people ask where we find our talent. We have people from all over the country, and normally people call us. They will call us or send packets and things like that. And I tell you, I never turn down an audition. We don't have open call auditions anymore. We found that's kind of a bit of a waste of time when we have a specific idea of what we're looking for. But people will send us packets and we'll have them come in and audition for us. And I rarely turn down an audition because I always want people to have that experience, even if it's not one that turns out to be a job for them.
Well, that's really nice of
Yeah,
you.
well,
You wouldn't have to do that.
I know people have to get their start somewhere, and I don't mind.
Yeah.
you
So
know, when
is
they
there really very much turnover in the theater industry in Branson?
Sometimes, sometimes we might be a show for someone just wanting to start out and maybe springboard to something different, which is funny because I kind of thought I would come to Branson and I would work for a couple of years and then maybe go to New York. But then I discovered that I get to do exactly what I love to do. I get to be an hour and a half from my family, and I get to have, my white picket fence and my 2.5 kids and dogs and cats, and I don't ride the subway every day, and I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
I like it. I love living in the Ozarks.
I think that's why a lot of entertainers are actually here is because they like the lifestyle.
Mm-hmm.
And I always, when people talk about new entertainers coming to Branson, I'm like, we need to find the people that like the Ozarks and like the lifestyle, because if they don't, they're not going to like
That's
it.
right. And
So-
I know we've had a lot of folks come in, like maybe that were on cruise ships for a while and stuff, and they've decided that they'd like to live on land, or folks that have discovered that quality of life is kind of important and they want to have their kids, they want to start their families and stuff, so they might settle down here, and we love that. As a matter of fact, one of our girls right now she's our choreographer. She's about 6 months pregnant, and she's just choreographing the show.
Yeah.
And we have another girl that's filling in until she has her baby, and then she'll be back in the show. We really love to encourage the family thing, because I think when people realize that they get to do what they love to do, and that they've got a job and a place to do it and a place to call home, and I really love living in Missouri. I've never lived anywhere else.
Good.
Yeah.
Folks, we're going to stop right here, and we're going to come back and talk about the actual show here in just a moment. So watch this video, and we'll be right back.
What's the most fun you'll have in Branson? #1 hits of the 60s and 50s, too. Our high-energy cast and band perform over 100 songs with over 100 costume changes. You'll hear Elvis, the Beach Boys, the Supremes, Buddy Holly, Paul Anka, the Beatles. The list goes on and on. #1 hits of the 60s and 50s, too, at the Americana Theater. Call for tickets today, 417-339-1960. It's the most fun you'll have in Branson.
Welcome back to Play Branson. I'm here with Amber Campbell with #1 hits of the 60s and 50s too. I got it wrong a little earlier, but they changed their name and added some new stuff, and she can talk about that here in a moment. So welcome back. It's good to have you here for the second segment.
Well, thank you. It's so good to be here today.
Yep.
Well, speaking of adding some new and adding different things, tell us a little bit about your show and some of the new additions that you've added to it this year.
Oh, I'll tell you, our show has been so much fun. When we first took over the show, the economy was kind of not in the greatest place about 8 years ago. And the first thing we did in order to make our show survive is we had to cut back the band. Well, what I'm really excited about is now we have 7 cast members on stage. We have a 6-piece band. It's really blowing crazy. This year we've added a saxophone player, and the production at the Clay Cooper Theater is going to be just phenomenal. I cannot wait for people to come and see the show. And I'll tell you, in a nutshell, we touch on 110 songs in 2 hours. We go back to a high school dance, and we change clothes 18 times.
Wow.
So yeah, there's something in it for everybody. And I'm telling you, if you're afraid we're going to sing a song that you don't like, just wait 30 seconds and it'll change. So we just try to touch on everything so that everybody gets an opportunity to go, oh, I remember that song. Oh yeah, I remember that. That's so great.
Keeps it exciting.
So yeah, for sure. It's very visually stimulating. It's also a clothing montage. We have all the great clothes from the 60s and 50s too.
Right.
So yeah, and that was something that we just added about 3 years ago. We were #1 hits of the 60s for the longest time, and then 3 years ago we thought, I think that there's a demographic that's being missed a little bit, because we noticed that a lot of the 50s shows went away, and so we thought we kind of should fill that void, and we did that, and it's one of the best things we've ever done. We love adding the 50s stuff to the show, and I think it really encourages people to come, and it crosses over. I think a lot of times people think of 60s as sort of psychedelic, but what we do is actually pop 60s, top 40 Billboard charts, 50s and 60s. So we have a good time doing it for sure.
Good.
So 110 songs. I know you're not going to be able to tell me all 110 songs here, but tell me some of the popular songs that you're doing.
Well, I can tell you my favorite song to sing is Where the Boys Are. I love that. Also, but we do the Beach Boys, we do the Beatles, we do Petula Clark, we do Sonny and Cher, we do the Young Rascals, we do. Seriously, there's so many. My husband makes fun of me because I kind of get lost in it. We do a lot of Motown music, so it's fun.
So you've been performing. I mean, right now you came over today out of rehearsal. So we appreciate you doing that, #1. So thanks for.
Hey, no problem.
Thanks for not canceling on us last minute. So
I wouldn't do that. Yeah, it's fun, and we have a pretty long season. We actually opened on March 19th, and we'll run until December the 9th. And starting November 1st, we'll change we changed the show up a little bit to do some Christmas in November, but we also understand that when people see #1 hits of the 60s and 50s too, that's what they're wanting to hear. They want to hear the hits from the 50s and 60s. So we only change about 40% of the show to incorporate some of the Christmas favorites and things like that in a 50s, 60s style.
So not too long ago, I was talking to you about groups, and you were talking to me about some pretty interesting things that you do for groups. So can you tell us a little bit about that?
Absolutely. No, we like to make every experience special for every guest, including individuals. But what we do is we have a great group of veterans that follow us. And since we're a 1960s show, we get a lot of Vietnam veterans for sure, but we cater to all our veterans. We honor our veterans every day. But what we actually do is when we know that a unit is coming to have a reunion in Branson, we have them send in photos from their unit in action, and we pay tribute to that specific unit the day that they're there. And we tell the audience that they're actually sitting next to the heroes that they're seeing on the screen. And I can tell you sometimes there's not a dry eye left in the place after that moment.
I mean, I'm like, where else would you find that happening in the country? I don't think anywhere.
I don't know. Yeah,
I think that's just amazing that you guys would do that. But you also do some stuff for student groups too, right?
We do. We do clinics for student groups, where we'll do a session where we talk about producing the show, or we'll do a triple threat clinic where it's singing, acting, dancing, and we have the students learn those things. But also when we know that we have a student group coming, or if we have a class reunion coming, we'll have them send, if it's a 1960s or 50s class that's coming to reunite, we'll have them send photos from their high school yearbook, and we'll put those on the screen during our high school dance. And we'll show those folks, and we'll change the name every day. We're at Branson High School, but we actually change the name of the high school to the name of that school that's there that day.
So on the high school dance, can these people get up and actually dance?
Absolutely. Everybody gets up every day at our show and dances, and a few lucky folks we pull out of the audience get to come up on stage and dance with us. So we try to, it's very audience interactive. I mean, right out of the gate, we're doing a quiz show, right pre-show is a quiz show where we say, was it 50s or 60s? And you'd be surprised at how many people don't know the difference. But we give away prizes from our gift shop, and we give away, gift certificates to different restaurants in town and things like that.
So if somebody's out there saying, hey, where's a good place to go for a family reunion or a school reunion or a military reunion? I mean, Branson is a great place to go. But you can see how easily you can incorporate that into the show. And I'm going to guess there's not a lot of places in the country that will do that. but Branson, very hospitable, as you can see, and so that's awesome.
And maybe there are other shows that do that as well, but as far as I know, I think right now it's just ours, so call me.
So what are the days that you guys will be performing this season?
This season, we are performing on Tuesday, Thursday, Saturdays, and Sunday at 2 o'clock. And then in September, we pick up Monday nights at 7:30.
So an afternoon show, and this is a new location this year at Clay Cooper.
That's right.
And
That's right.
Clay's got lots of shows there. Great location, right across from the wonderful Best Western Center Point Inn, and right across from the Titanic Museum as well.
right.
So it's a good. I always say it's the center of Branson. You just really can't hardly get in a better location.
The heart
It
of
is.
Branson.
It is.
Uh-huh.
So, is there anything else you want to tell us about the show or the cast? Or do
We have a
co-
fantastic cast. Like I said, they're from all over, and we've got fantastic musicians. I would like to say my husband, Matt Mahobarak, is a phenomenal musician. He moved here from LA about 22 years ago, where he had spent about 30 years in the industry already creating music for big-name people like McDonald's and working for Nickelodeon and laying down music for those different shows and commercials that they do there. And he came out to Branson actually following the Lennon sisters. He's good friends with them. He'd worked with Janet Lennon's husband, John Baylor, out there. And so I think it's really incredible because he is amazing. And we have exact opposite talents. He's a phenomenal musician. He's great at writing music, but he's never going to want to choreograph the show, and he's never going to want to costume it. And every time he walks out in a pink shiny jacket, he blames it on me.
He blames it on you.
That's right.
So.
But he's a great
Well,
musician.
I mean, that's great that you have different talents that can
Yeah.
complement each other, and so that's
Yeah,
wonderful.
I'm blessed.
And so I've just enjoyed talking to you today and getting to know you better and about your show. And so, folks, here's the deal: you come to Branson, go see #1 hits of the '60s and '50s too, and be sure to go to ibranson.com and get your tickets, or call 1-877-ENTERTAIN. This has been another awesome episode of Play Branson, and we'll see you soon.